In this video, I'm talking about some of the top suburbs to move to when you're thinking about relocating to the Seattle area, so stay tuned. As always, I'm Bryce Greenleaf, local real estate agent here in the greater Seattle area. I love helping you guys out, those of you that contact me here from YouTube when you're relocating to this area. If that sounds like you when you're thinking about purchasing a home over here, I'd be more than happy to help you out and find that right place for you to move to. But like I said on this video, I'm specifically talking about the Seattle suburbs, and we're going to talk about some of the top destinations. Now, this is not my personal opinion on the best suburbs that you should move to. This list really is just the most common suburbs that, when people are reaching out to me here from YouTube and we start going through this process, these are the top destinations they end up focusing on and end up moving to. Now, the Seattle metropolitan area has over 70 different suburbs. I've got 6 on this list. So there is a lot of great suburbs, ones that are not on this list that you can explore further, and go check out some of my other videos on my channel where I dive deep into a lot of the suburbs. But these are just the top 6 that I see people personally that are relocating to. We also have some variable in real estate price points here. So this is not just like the top 5 to 7 cities that are all on the east side right next to each other and are all priced in the $1.5 to $2 million range. This is a wide variety, different locations, north, south, west, east, different price points, these 6 cities, and there's a reason that a lot of people end up moving to them. All right, so I'm going to start furthest north and just make my way south. So this is in no particular order. So number 1 is going to be Lake Stevens. Now, Lake Stevens is about 45 miles northeast of Seattle. So this is starting to get really up there. Now, if you're somebody that's commuting into Seattle or into Bellevue, one of those areas, Lake Stevens is kind of on that edge of being commutable. There is a lot of people that live in Lake Stevens that will commute there. Usually they're going into office 2 to 3 times a week. Maybe they're not going in a full 5 days. This will be a longer commute, but a lot of people have decided it is worth the sacrifice to drive a little bit further, a little bit longer every day, and get a lot more for your money. So up here in Lake Stevens, it's a very nice sense of community. There's a wide range of different types of real estate options. Now, the median home price here in Lake Stevens right now is about $740,000. Now, there's a lot of new construction that's gone in here over the last few years. A number of these communities that are just finishing up. So in terms of inventory right now for brand new homes, it is a little bit tight. There is a lot of new build communities though that have been going in here the last 5 to 10 years. So you're going to have a number of resale homes that are only 2, 3, 4, 5 years old, if that's something that's important to you. There's also a lot of older homes that were neighborhoods that were built up in the 70s and 80s and 90s all over the place. You're going to have, your typical subdivision living on a cul-de-sac. You can go a little bit further out and you can get small acreage. So if you want an acre or 5 acres, there's a lot of options like that in Lake Stevens as well. Now, one reason why Lake Stevens has become so desirable here on the north side is because of the school district. A lot of people come up here and they look at these school district ratings, and Lake Stevens has the reputation of being one of the best districts really in this area in Snohomish County. And so they really target Lake Stevens specifically because of that. Now, along with the schools, there's a good amount to do here in Lake Stevens. You have the lake right in the middle of the city. So this is great if you've got kids and you want to go swimming and play on the playgrounds there, have a picnic. They have a lot of community events centered around these parks. We go to them often with our 2 little girls, and they're going to have kind of carnival type things. They're going to have parades. They're going to have really events centered around most of the big holidays around here that you can bring the family to and enjoy a nice day here at these parks. If you've got a boat or jet skis or kayak, paddleboard, any of that kind of stuff, it provides great access. All right, city number 2 here on the list, we're going to go just south to the city, just south of Lake Stevens. We are going to Snohomish. Now, while Snohomish is so close to Lake Stevens, it does give you a little bit different of a feel. While Lake Stevens feels very like typical suburbia, Snohomish can certainly feel that way. Snohomish has a larger footprint. It's a very large city when it comes to that footprint. Some of it will feel very suburbia, but what's unique about Snohomish is the rural or semi-rural feel it can give you. A lot of people go to Snohomish because they want more privacy. They want more land. Snohomish is one of the best places you can move to if you want to find a home on acreage, whether that's 1 acre or that's 50 acres. You can find it here in Snohomish, and the good thing about that is you're not living in a completely rural area. You can have a 10-acre parcel and be 5 to 10 minutes from town, and here in downtown Snohomish is what makes it a little bit more unique than Lake Stevens, where downtown Snohomish has this historic downtown area. So we go down here all the time too. They've got shops and restaurants down here. It's right along the riverfront. So there's a lot to do around here just to hang out, go at night, get a drink, something good to eat, or you can go, again, they have a lot of community events here, parades and festivals and all sorts of stuff. And it really gives this city of Snohomish a bit of an identity, this cute, quaint, downtown historic area. And then you go out from there and you have neighborhoods close to downtown with these early 1900s craftsmen. You go further out and you can get a lot of homes on acreage. And then in Snohomish, especially when you go further south, there is a lot of new construction as well. So if you want a newer home that's 2,500 to 3,500 square feet on a cul-de-sac like your typical subdivision, there's a lot of that available as well. So there's a wide range of options in Snohomish. The median price here is going to be more expensive than Lake Stevens. Median price here is $982,000. Couple of reasons for that. One, because of everything that I just mentioned, the sense of identity that Snohomish does have, as well as the fact that it's further south. And Snohomish, like I said, has a large footprint, so it does start to extend very far south. Many Snohomish addresses that are going to be, 15, 20 miles south of where Lake Stevens is, so it's a lot closer for those commuters. There is a lot of people that maybe work on the east side. Maybe they work at Microsoft in Redmond or one of these tech companies on the east side, or a medical job, finance job over here, and they will move to Snohomish to, one, get more for their money, two, be able to get a larger home, a larger lot size, and to feel like they're kind of in that small town area while still being close to everything. There's a Costco nearby. There's a hospital nearby in the city over in Everett. There's medical clinics everywhere in Snohomish. Everything you need is here in the Snohomish area. It's very self-sustainable, but it still kind of gives you a bit of a small town feel. All right, heading further south, city number 3 is going to be Bothell. Now, I've talked about Bothell a lot on my channel. You've probably heard about it. It is a hot destination, primarily for the location that it serves. It is so close to those tech jobs on the east side. So a lot of people that have moved over here, taking jobs at Microsoft, and they move into Bothell. Now, Bothell is more expensive. Because of that location, it's going to be more expensive easily than Snohomish and Lake Stevens. Median price point here in Bothell is about $1.2 million right now. It's located right on I-405, so it's very convenient to get to and from different destinations, or if you need to get over to Seattle, you're close to the I-5, I-405 interchange to loop around and go down south on I-5 there to Seattle, if that's the area that you might have a job in. Now, another thing about Bothell that attracts people to it so much is the school district that it's in, North Shore School District. It is consistently rated as one of the top few school districts in the state of Washington, so it really fills that need for a lot of families coming over here where they want to put their kids in the best public schools possible. So when you talk about the combination of convenience to everything around, really well-rated schools, short distance to very high-paying jobs, it's this blend of creating an area that starts to get a bit more expensive. And those prices have really gone up a lot in the last few years. Bothell has a revitalized downtown area with a lot of shops and restaurants and places you can walk around. They've got the park right next to it as well. It's along the Sammamish River, so you've got the trail that goes along the Sammamish River. So if you want to go, ride your bike or rollerblading or go for a jog, take your dog, take your kids, there's a lot of recreation in this area as well. All right, city number 4 we're going to talk about is Issaquah. Now, Issaquah is the most expensive one on this list. Early in the video, I talked about there's this cluster of cities on the east side that are very popular for people to move to, but I'm not going to make all of them about this one specific video because they're all relatively similar. I picked Issaquah out of this list because that is the destination that I see most of my personal clients kind of aiming towards. Now, those other cities included in that I kind of mentioned on that east side, you've got Sammamish, Bellevue, Kirkland, and Redmond. So all priced in the 1.5 to 2 million median price point. Issaquah specifically is on the lower end of that range. They're 1.5 million in median home price. Now, Issaquah is a great location location, again, similar to Bothell before. It has a bit of a different feel than Bothell for sure, but similar in the fact that great schools, so people target it because they have great access to public schools. It is very commutable to those high-paying jobs. It's a quick jaunt over I-90 into Bellevue, or if you need to get over to Redmond for a Microsoft job, everything is close enough by where you could commute 5 days a week if you needed to. And Issaquah also provides just a very pleasant style of living. In Issaquah, you have an area that's very new, the Issaquah Highlands, where you've got a lot of newer homes, new subdivisions that were really built up in the last decade or two with shopping centers, movie theater, restaurants, all of that up there in the Issaquah Highlands that a lot of people shift their focus to. Outside of the Issaquah Highlands, you can go down into Old Town. There is a cool, quaint little downtown area there right on Front Street that will provide some of those restaurants and walkability and things to do around there. And then you can start to get more towards the outskirts, like on Tiger Mountain, where there's a lot of great neighborhoods that are going to have homes built in the 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s that are on larger lots, half an acre to an acre, and they're just surrounded by these tall, beautiful evergreen trees where it has a nice, tighter sense of community and a lot of neighbors nearby, but your personal property, your lot, is very private because you're surrounded by all these trees, and it really kind of gives the best of both worlds. There's a lot of people looking for that, where they don't want to live in a completely rural area, but they want a sense of privacy in their property, and Issaquah has a number of neighborhoods that really check that box and provides that lifestyle for those people. Issaquah is going to have all of your bigger shopping too, your big grocery stores, big shopping centers, all of that. Hospital is in the Issaquah Highlands. Doctor's offices, everything is within Issaquah. It's a very large area, but it will give you multiple different options for the type of real estate and type of neighborhood that you might be looking for. All right, city number 5 here is Gig Harbor. Now, Gig Harbor is located on the west side. Most of these that I've talked about so far have all been located further east. Gig Harbor is the furthest west on this list. Now, there's a reason for this. There's a lot of cities on the west side that don't have as big of a desirability factor when they're located right along I-5. When you're talking about getting out of Seattle proper, going north and south, a lot of people prefer to be further east, and that's just what I've noticed with people moving and relocating over here. When they start to explore these suburbs and really start to narrow down the ones that they're interested in, they typically start to shift their focus a little bit further east. One of the exceptions to that is Gig Harbor, and Gig Harbor is, in terms of the popularity of an area that people are considering when they relocate over here and they're contacting me directly, Gig Harbor is pretty close to the top of this list. Almost everybody mentions it. Now, the one thing that can eliminate Gig Harbor for you is if you are commuting to work in Seattle or Bellevue every day. I would not live in Gig Harbor. This would be probably the toughest commute to and from. Now, in terms of distance, it's about 40 miles from Seattle, which is about the same distance as Snohomish that I mentioned, Snohomish and Lake Stevens, the first couple cities we went over, and there are people that commute there. So there's a number of people that live in Gig Harbor and they commute 2 or 3 days a week. It's possible. Again, people do it. It is going to be a bit difficult as you get through Tacoma there on I-5. That traffic does start to get pretty bad. But people, again, will make that sacrifice to go to Gig Harbor. It's a very pleasant area. There's a lot of people that go over here to retire as well. It's very peaceful. You're right on the water. They have a cool, again, quaint downtown area. You've got restaurants that are right on the water. Just beautiful scenery all around here in Gig Harbor. There's a lot of view homes around. The other piece of that puzzle of why it is such a desirable area is those home prices. That median home price in Gig Harbor is only $725,000. You still have good rated schools in this area. You've got the restaurants, like I mentioned, that are close by. You've got shopping and everything close by as well. You've got view homes. You've got access to water, beautiful scenery and views, like I mentioned, but yet that price is kept a little bit lower. Part of that reason, again, is the distance from some of those jobs on the east side and in Seattle proper, but it provides a very nice place to live, and a lot of people are attracted to that area, especially if they work remote or they're retired, or maybe they only go into the office 2 days a week. That is a very popular destination. All right, number 6 on the list here I'm going to go over is Bonney Lake. This is the last one on the list. Now, Now, Bonney Lake is also about 40-45 miles south of Seattle. Instead of southwest, like Gig Harbor is, it is southeast. Now, the reason Bonney Lake is on this list isn't necessarily for Bonney Lake itself. Is Bonney Lake a fine city? Sure. There's nothing wrong with Bonney Lake. Is it very entertaining? A lot to do? Probably not as compared to some of the other ones on this list. The reason Bonney Lake is here and why a lot of people end up going there and ask me about it when they relocate here is because it has a lot of new construction, and a lot of people are just very focused on purchasing new construction when they move over here. Being in the Seattle metropolitan area, you know, we've got the Puget Sound on the west side of us, you've got the Cascade Mountain Range on the east side of us, and you have multiple lakes in the middle. There's only so much land around here where you can expand and build these new communities. So this isn't like moving to Texas where there's sprawling master plan communities everywhere you look. Over here, there's very few, very large, true master plan communities, and Bonney Lake has one of them. Really the biggest one, it's called Tahali. Now, Tahali is continuing to expand. They have a lot of homes currently for sale and a lot more that will be coming in the coming years. So for those that are really focused on new construction, you can go down here to Tahali, pick from 4 to 5 to 6 different builders, pick your lot that you want, pick your floor plan that you want, and get the house built in 6 to 8 months and move in. And so this is an option that most cities, most suburbs around here do not offer because there's just not the land available. But in Bonney Lake, specifically here in Tahali, there is. Now again, this is another location where commuting to the east side or Seattle for a job is difficult. Most people that move here in Bonney Lake do not commute. They work remote, they're retired, or they work closer to the south side. So just keep that in mind. If you are somebody that's commuting to the office 5 days a week and your office is in Seattle or Bellevue, Bonney Lake's probably not a good option. But for those of you working remote, maybe working further south, maybe commuting 2 days a week, that would still be tough. Bonney Lake can provide those new construction options that you might be looking for. All right, well, that wraps it up here. These, again, are the top 6 suburbs people ask me about, are interested in, and end up moving to when they're relocating here to Seattle in my personal experience. Again, there are a lot of great cities around here outside of these 6 that you can explore. Go on my channel, look at those other videos on the suburbs around here. And like I said, I'm an active real estate agent in this area, so if you are relocating over here and you need help figuring out the best place for you to move to, feel free to reach out. I'd be more than happy to help you. Thanks for watching this one.